Welcome to the Wellness Lab Digest, where we help you to absorb powerful, life-changing insights from top wellness experts with our daily bite-sized wellness podcast summaries. Each episode is packed with distilled, powerful takeaways to boost your health and well-being. To support this podcast, please scroll down on whatever app you're listening. Ratings and reviews are helpful. Even better, just send the show to a friend. Check out our sponsors at the bottom of the page, or simply click the Support the Show link below the episode description.
Artificial sweeteners, a health savior or silent saboteur. Today we're exploring how these zero-calorie wonders might be wreaking havoc on our gut health and metabolism in ways we never imagined.
Oh, wow. That's quite a statement. What's the scoop on these sweeteners we've all been using?
Well, it's pretty eye-opening. A groundbreaking study led by Dr. Eran Elinav and Prof. Tim Spector suggests that these artificial sweeteners might be doing more harm than good. They found that these supposedly inert substances are actually altering our blood sugar control, which could lead to some serious health risks down the line.
That's concerning. So you're saying these alternatives to sugar might not be as safe as we thought?
Exactly. We're talking potential issues like obesity, diabetes, or even cardiovascular complications. And it's not just one type of sweetener. This research covers popular ones like aspartame and sucralose, the ones in diet sodas and sugar-free products.
So if I'm understanding correctly, these sweeteners that we've been told are harmless might actually be messing with our bodies in unexpected ways?
That's right. And here's where it gets really interesting. It all ties into our microbiome, that bustling city of microbes living in our gut. Dr. Elinav's research shows that these sweeteners can alter our gut bacteria, which in turn affects how our bodies process sugar.
Fascinating. So our gut bacteria play a role in how we respond to these sweeteners?
Absolutely. And get this, in one study, they found that giving mice saccharin actually made them more prone to developing diabetes. Of course, we can't just assume the same thing happens in humans, but...
Right? Well, that's what it sounds like they're suggesting. Did they do any studies on humans as well?
They did. And that's where it gets even more intriguing. They found similar trends in human subjects, which is why they're raising the alarm. But it's important to note that we still need more long-term studies to fully understand the impact.
I see. It's amazing how our understanding of nutrition keeps evolving. How did we miss this potential link for so long?
Well, that's the thing about science. It's always progressing. When artificial sweeteners first hit the market, they seemed like a miracle solution. 0 calories, but all the sweetness? It sounded too good to be true, and maybe it was. It's a bit like the story of margarine, once touted as a healthy alternative to butter until we learned about the dangers of trans fats.
Oh, that's a great comparison. So we might be seeing a similar situation with artificial sweeteners?
Possibly. It's a reminder that we need to be cautious about embracing miracle solutions without long-term data. But let's be clear here. This doesn't mean sugar gets a free pass. We know for certain that excessive sugar consumption is harmful.
So what are we supposed to do? It seems like everything is bad for us these days.
I know it can feel that way sometimes. But I think one of the key takeaways from this research is the importance of personalized nutrition. Remember how we talked about everyone's microbiome being unique? That means what works for one person might not work for another.
That makes sense. So it's not about completely eliminating these things, but being more aware of how much we're consuming?
Exactly. Maybe think twice before reaching for that diet soda or sugar-free cookie. And it's also a good reminder to be aware of hidden sugars and sweeteners in processed foods. These things are everywhere if you start looking for them.
I've noticed that. It seems like everything has some form of added sweetener these days. So what else can we do besides reading labels?
Well, both experts suggest focusing on the overall quality of our diets. Maybe instead of swapping sugar for artificial sweeteners, we could try to reduce our overall taste for sweetness. One suggestion is to gradually transition away from sweetened beverages. Start by diluting them with water or unsweetened alternatives.
That's an interesting approach. I can see how that might work. It's like retraining your taste buds, right?
Exactly. It's all about giving your body time to adapt. And who knows, you might discover new flavors you never appreciated before when they were masked by sweetness. I remember when I first started drinking coffee black, It was pretty rough at first, but now I actually prefer it that way.
I've had a similar experience with tea. It's amazing how your tastes can change over time. But this whole conversation really underscores how complex nutrition science is, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's not just about calories in, calories out. Our bodies are these intricate systems with so many factors at play, and that's why the ongoing research into the microbiome is so crucial. It's opening up new avenues for understanding how our bodies interact with food on a molecular level.
It's fascinating to think about where this research might lead. Do you think we'll ever get to a point where we have personalized nutrition plans based on our individual microbiomes?
That's certainly the direction we're heading in. Imagine going to the doctor and getting a diet plan tailored specifically to your gut bacteria. We're not there yet, but studies like this one are paving the way. It's exciting to think about the possibilities, isn't it?
It really is. So, to wrap things up, what's the main message our listeners should take away from this?
I think, the key takeaway is to approach artificial sweeteners with caution. They're not necessarily health villains, but they're also not the completely safe alternative to sugar we once thought. It's always a good idea to focus on whole, unprocessed foods as much as possible. Maybe instead of reaching for that artificially sweetened yogurt, grab some plain yogurt and add fresh fruit for sweetness.
Those are all excellent points. It's clear that there's no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to nutrition.
You're absolutely right. And that's what makes this field so fascinating. Every day, we're learning more about how our bodies work and how they interact with the food we eat. It's a constant process of discovery and refinement.
It certainly keeps things interesting. Is there anything else about this research that stood out to you?
Well, one thing I found particularly intriguing was how this research challenges our assumptions about diet foods. For years, we've been told that diet sodas and sugar-free snacks are better choices if we're trying to manage our weight or blood sugar. But this study suggests that might not always be the case.
That's a great point. It really makes you think twice about those healthy alternatives, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a reminder that we need to look beyond just calories or sugar content when we're evaluating our food choices. The impact on our gut health and overall metabolism is just as important, if not more so.
So true. It's clear that nutrition is far more complex than we often give it credit for. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I think the main thing to remember is that science is always evolving. What we know today might change tomorrow, so it's important to stay curious and keep learning. This study on artificial sweeteners is a perfect example of how our understanding of nutrition is constantly being refined and updated.
That's a great way to look at it. It's not about finding the perfect diet or the magic bullet for health, but about staying informed and making the best choices we can with the information we have.
Exactly. And that's what we strive to do here at Gen FM, bring you the latest information and insights to help you make informed decisions about your health and well-being. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of artificial sweeteners. It's certainly given us a lot to think about next time we reach for that sugar substitute.
It sure has. And remember, folks, what works for one person might not work for another. The key is to listen to your body and make choices that feel right for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, keep listening, and most importantly, keep moving.
Thank you for listening to the Wellness Lab Digest. If you have received value from the podcast, I have 3 asks of you. 1, share the show with your friends and send them a link to the show. 2, please leave a rating and review in whatever app you're listening. And last but not least, please let me know what topics you would like us to cover in the future. You can contact me by sending me a message using the Send Us a Text link below the episode description.